So we have this image going around on the internet. Is it real or is it fake? We have a Chibi Goku Super Saiyan 4 and a Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and it's supposed to be a preview of the latest episode of Dragon Ball Daima, episode 18, to reveal this new transformation. What do you guys think? Do you think this is a real image or is it a fake image? Now, at the current moment, as we stand, I don't think this is a real image. This may be a fake image. Ultimately, I don't know what the new transformation is going to be. I know there's going to be a transformation, and there may be also a fusion as well. But it's hard to say. But today we're going to be talking about major breakdown, going a little bit more details about the interview that just dropped the other day from Akira Yoku on Dragon Ball Daima and the things that was said. So as we know, the whole thing of Dragon Ball Daima was created from being inspired by Dragon Ball GT, and they wanted to create a series for many different reasons. Of course, we know this information has been spread around from geekdom for a while, stating that they wanted to make more Dragon Ball since Super has been on a break on the anime side of things. And right now we're getting a new Dragon Ball series, which is Daima. But in this interview, we're going to break down some of the stuff that Kyoku said in this interview, and a lot of things that went over people's head, and go a little bit more in depth in details. So in this interview, he's pretty much stating that we're going to be getting Dragon Ball for the future, decades to come. So Dragon Ball is nowhere near ending. So for all you people that's thinking Dragon Ball is going to end, they're far from over, especially with Akira Toriyama's passing. People thinking that where the series is going to stand. And Dragon Ball makes too much money, and as the same way Akira Yoku explained in this interview, Dragon Ball is a phenomenon and stuff like that. It's one of the biggest animes, but at the same time, they don't look at it as an anime. They look at it as a phenomenon, which is a worldwide. And now it looks like they're starting to see things a little bit bigger than just Japan. They're going to be looking at America, the Latin America, and all over the world, and pretty much trying to provide Dragon Ball. Now, Dragon Ball Daima was created for many reasons. Besides the one I just stated earlier of it being kind of like a revised Dragon Ball GT, kind of like it's a redone in a sense. And this is probably hinting at why people think Super Saiyan 4 is coming to Daima. And the other thing is, it's kind of to introduce people to Dragon Ball at the same time. Akira Toriyama was feeling like, people are more focused on just the fights of Dragon Ball, but he always wanted to get back to the adventure side of things. Now, if Akira Toriyama had time to rest after doing Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, he would have probably worked on Dragon Ball GT, and it would have been a little bit more efficient. But I got a video detailing on the truth about Dragon Ball GT, so that's coming soon. Y'all need to stay tuned for that. It's going to give you more insight and details about Dragon Ball GT. But at the same time, he gave that outline about them going back on an adventure to capture that Dragon Ball feel. And this is what they're doing with Dragon Ball Daima. They wanted to create an adventure and go back to the essence of getting Dragon Balls, because they kind of felt like Super and a lot of these things kind of like got away from all of that at the end of the day. And it was true, where he said Super, it more focused on just getting new power, and even that I feel like is a little bit underwhelming, because I feel like with Super it's just been rehashing a lot of old things. The transformations don't really look that creative to me. Ultimately, I feel like if they had actually put in work to make the Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue look different, and especially for like the UI and Ultra Ego, I think people would love Super a lot more better. And I'm a fan of transformations. I love them. Keep them coming. Some people are not a fan. I love the transformation, because every time a new transformation comes, it hypes everyone up. Everyone loves transformations. And even right now, Daima's going to introduce a new transformation or redo a transformation. And people are hyped right now. So people are definitely looking forward to see this new episode and see this new transformation, to see what it is and what's going to happen, and if they actually execute it properly. So people love transformations, and I'm one of those people, but I also wanted to make sure it's a good transformation and not a lazy one that we've been getting so far in Super, with just palette swaps of, you know, Super Saiyan with Super Saiyan Blue, or, you know, Blue Evolution is just Super Vegeta with, you know, God Key. You know, all this other stuff is like, you know, I really want them to take their time and rehash and make something more interesting, you know. But ultimately, that was the reason for them to pretty much kind of create Daima to introduce, because they wanted to make something to capture the younger generation, the kids, and the older generation, and people that watched Dragon Ball GT. And they wanted to pull that crowd back in and make something enjoyable. And I think they've been paying attention. And Kyoku, he definitely paid attention to all of the fans and bring back a lot of the things that we love to see. So I'm not surprised. And they have a lot of people and people that worked on GT working on Dragon Ball Daima as well. So these are all clues of this being a Dragon Ball GT 2.0 when it comes to Dragon Ball Daima. And the other thing they went on about is that there's a lot of explorations and things that they added, with Akira Toriyama being the one to make the whole cast turn into children. And on top of that, revealing that the pointy ear type of, you know, thing that's going on, and giving more lore. So originally, Akira Toriyama got deep involved when he heard that it was going to be a new anime, kind of starting from scratch. So in a sense, Dragon Ball Daima really exists as a show or a series that's just to introduce people back into Dragon Ball, to get them catch up, because a lot of people usually skip regular Dragon Ball and go straight to the Z portion of things and don't know about the adventures of Goku as a kid. And this is probably a way to kind of retell everything, which is the reason why they do a retelling of Goku's life story in the beginning of each episode of Dragon Ball Daima, to kind of catch up the crowd to understand Goku's journey and where he came from. And this is a way to kind of like bring people back to the essence of Dragon Ball, where it's action-packed fighting, techniques, transformations, and of course adventure. And a lot of people who watch Dragon Ball Daima, is actually not a bad series. It's actually better than what we thought. It's something about Akira Toriyama, when his pen is to it and deeply involved, you can see the difference. Yes, a lot of episodes weren't as, you know, epic, and a lot of things they could have kind of cut down and put in some stuff to kind of like, you know, push the story further, and we could have got a lot more things within these 20 episodes. But there's a lot of hidden things that they said you probably, after watching the final episode, you'll want to go back and see hidden things that they put throughout the series. Now, right now, I'm currently rewatching Dragon Ball Daima, the English dub version of these episodes, and it's kind of a rewatch as well to see, but I know it's going to be a little bit different. I may rewatch the show both times in sub and dub, so it'll be a total of 4 times after everything is done and complete, just to get a refreshed view of everything and see what was changed from the sub and the dub version. And the other thing to this is that with Dragon Ball Daima, they pretty much have everything that they wanted to put in Dragon Ball all in one in these 20 episodes. And something about Akira Toriyama having his pen, the humor is way more funnier. It's a lot, it's entertaining in different ways. Even though every episode is not action packed, for the most part it's still entertaining and still keep you like, I kind of see the angle of where they're going at. A lot of times we like to, you know, have our point of view and make our opinions and ratings of stuff based on where we're from, and it goes back the same thing for like Dragon Ball GT. If people watch Dragon Ball GT in Japan and the sub version, is a big difference from the dub version. The dub version is horrendous, but watching everything sub with the Japanese music is a big difference, and that's probably the reason why Dragon Ball GT is actually well received in Japan. It's only the outside America and the fandom that think Dragon Ball GT was trash. People hate it. That's only here in America. In Japan, the people actually love it. And when you watch it in Japan and get the actual voices and, you know, story and everything that wasn't changed, it's a way better series than you think watching it in dub, where I feel like the dub version needs to be redone with a better soundtrack. Get that they need the Bruce Falconer score for the dub version, because I miss those classic Dragon Ball, and the other ones just wasn't creating the vibe for the show. Whereas in Japanese soundtrack, it was much more better. Now there is a dub where you have the English dub with the Japanese soundtrack and slight different voices, which is probably much more better than the Funimation. But you know, there's a lot of things that pretty much provides misconceptions to everybody out there when it comes to Dragon Ball. And Dragon Ball Daima is kind of like that bridge to kind of get everybody caught up to what's going on in Dragon Ball. As far as Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Heroes, they're taking all different elements, and Daima is supposed to be like the showcase to introduce people to, you know, Dragon Ball universe, where they're taking bits and pieces of everything. And of course, it's all really inspired by Dragon Ball GT, because that series needs more love, and I think that's what they're trying to do with Dragon Ball Daima. But once again, we have this image that's out right now that's been floating around. People don't know what to think, if it's real or not, and ultimately we're gonna see in a few days, and we're gonna find out what exactly is going on once the show is done in a couple of weeks, because Dragon Ball Daima will be done this month, and after that it's back to Super with a one-shot manga that's coming out of that, where we don't know what the future of Super, if it's like when exactly it's going to fully continue. But right now we're starting with Daima, and Daima right now is the thing that's going to be the talks on the internet for the next couple of days. So we're going to stay tuned, and like I said, you could go check out more of the interview from Akira Yoku on Dragon Ball Daima and everything that, you know, they've been working on when it comes to this series. Because at the end of the day, Akira Toriyama was very excited to work on this, and at first he rarely even worked on animes, but he was very excited and decided to join in and pretty much do a lot of the work of everything that was in this series. So this is something that we really got from him to know this might be his last work or not. We don't know how much things that Akira Toriyama actually had cooking up for us, and I'm pretty sure he probably did, because he, even though he was not really like in the public eye, he still worked on a lot of stuff. So that's something that we just have to wait and see what's the future of Dragon Ball. But we do know a lot more Dragon Ball is coming, so we just got to stay tuned and see more of Dragon Ball Daima, whether they'll come back with a season 2, or it will just all blend into Super and Daima will never come on to stay these 20 episodes. It's hard to say, but it'll probably make sense for them to do a season 2 of Daima, but probably takes place after Dragon Ball Super. That would be even better. But that's it for this video right now. Get in the comments, tell us, what do you think? Do you think this is real? Do you think it's fake? I need your answers, because right now we're waiting for that. So definitely get in the comments and tell us, what do you think?